Was the assassination of Charlie Kirk a professional hit job? Just why is the FBI having such a hard time finding the killer? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's break down what we know about this strange event. Now, before we get started, of course, I want to say, because it bears repeating, that political violence is awful. Just because you don't agree with him, and I didn't agree with much of what Charlie Kirk thought about the world, doesn't mean that you should kill that person. And that, though, I want to say we don't have a suspect, we don't have a motive, we don't know why this took place, right? So if the FBI can't find the guy who did it, they definitely aren't going to be able to find the motive. So let's just talk about what we do know about this guy. And the answer is bizarrely little, right? Now, it's a pretty bad sign when the official statements from the FBI are, quote, "We cannot do our job without the public's help right now," which means they're out of leads, which is crazy, right? Now, the FBI has started to release more and more surveillance footage of the killer, and this is where things start to take a turn for the weird. Now, reportedly, the FBI found an older model, how would they say, a high-powered firearm that was recovered. They believe it's the weapon used in the shooting, a high-powered bolt-action rifle. Recovered in a wooded area near where the shooting took place, an older model Mauser 30-06 wrapped in a towel. Now, the firearm's location appears to match the suspect's route of travel. Now, there was some information leaked to Steven Crowder from an internal ATF database that said there was transgender and anti-fascist writing on the ammo that was found in there. But again, another commenter pointed, the Wall Street Journal, for example, has walked this report back. There's actually a comment on Reddit who said that there's actually a very popular Turkish ammunition manufacturer who stamps their ammo with TRN, which looks similar to the word Tran. So it's possible this was just a misunderstanding by the ATF, because don't underestimate ATF agents' ability to get it wrong. And I just say get it wrong. This was leaked to a conservative influencer from an internal database, and it's so common this is how real investigations work. Like, they're very messy. People have these assumptions. They think they found something, but it doesn't check out. This is normal investigative stuff, right? So this is not the same thing as finding a decisive motive, right? And if it's true, it'll come out in time, but let the investigative process work. Now, here's the part that I find kind of more bizarre, right? Here's one photo of the guy. They're like, oh, we think he's a college-age male. I mean, he looks like a adult male, younger than 35 for sure, but between a ball cap, an extremely generic shirt, an American flag with an eagle, extremely common shoes. I mean, nothing is really distinct here. But you may notice that an older model Mauser, right, a 30-06, I want to show you guys what these things look like. So older model Mausers, here's, for example, a Argentine Mauser in a not a 30-06 caliber. But what I want you guys to understand is these things do not come apart easily. They are absolutely huge. They are, just gigantic. If you've ever used, for example, a Mosin Nagant, we're talking about a rifle that typically comes up to approximately like between waist and rib height. Okay. Let's see if I can, I'll actually ask the length of a World War II Mauser rifle. Let's see. We're going to ask Gemini to give us the length of a World War II Mauser rifle. This seems like something that even AI could do without hallucinating. But what I want you guys to observe with me is some of the photos released of this guy. You know, he seems to be missing the huge battle rifle. Okay. Right. You can see him kind of walking sort of hesitantly. Right. Here we go. A Mauser, the Carabiner 98K, was approximately 43 inches in length, right? So you're talking about nearly 3 feet. And actually an older model G98 Mauser would have been 50 inches in length. Absolutely. These are huge, huge battle rifles. And you can see that it's not really at all clear where he's got this thing. Now, some people are like, oh, it slid into his pants. But like, again, this thing is huge, dude. Like, I don't see it, right? And you can see him like bending his knees here. Not something that would be possible with this, quote, high-powered, I mean, it is a high-powered firearm. Like, where is it? It's crucially missing. And he does, though, have a backpack with a bunch of stuff in it. So right there, it's a little weird, right? Because you can see here, the FBI has released some CCTV footage. Let's take a look. So here is him fleeing. So it says he is right there. There he is fleeing the scene. You can see him running, right? But what do we not see? Well, we don't see the rifle. Looks like maybe he throws his backpack down and then takes a jump onto the ground. But again, I see the backpack, but I don't really see a rifle. Again, a 50-inch long World War II battle rifle. Like, where is it? Like, that's a huge thing to be missing. I mean, let's see if I can find a picture. I probably can't show. Let's see. It probably won't let me show a picture of the Kar 98 in use. But let's see. Let's see. Here we go. So here is an example of a World War II. It looks like maybe Austro-Hungarian forces. But take a look at this. I want you guys to see it so you can. Oh, okay. This is not that good a photo. Here's an example again of a soldier carrying a Kar 98. This is not something you could slide into your pants. This is not something you could like sling and carry, right? Here's another soldier with a Kar 98 sniper variant. You know, you can't miss it, dudes. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. It is not something that it would appear in that footage. The other part where they talk about, there's a lot of talk that, oh, this guy was a trained sniper. And, you know, they say that actually the shooting took place around here was his firing position. This is where his target was. And it's about 130 meters. So for context, the U.S. Army, when they have their standard rifle qualification, which used to be done with iron sights, it's now done with an optic, but it used to be done with iron sights. And it was the standard rifle, the baseline rifle qual for cooks, mechanics, communications guys, intelligence dudes, that would have you shoot with iron sights out to 300 meters on a human torso-sized target, right? So hitting a head-sized target at 130 meters is actually not that hard to do. It is a far cry from a professional sniper, right? And to understand sort of what I'm talking about, you know, I want to talk about minutes of accuracy, right? And a minute of accuracy is really convenient because it's the how tight the rounds can group, how accurate you can get them within a circle at 100 yards, right? So 1 minute of accuracy represents essentially 1 inch grouping. You can hit within a 1 inch diameter circle at 100 yards. And that's a 1 minute of accuracy, right? So let's say this was a Kar 98, right? And what was its MOA? Most people say about an MOA of 2, which means that a Kar 98 at 100 yards probably can get you to a 2 inch grouping. Now that assumes that is a technical measure. So it assumes perfect ammunition, perfect conditions, no wind, and a perfect shooter, right? So in reality though, but that's usually the measure of the weapon is its accuracy is measured. You have a tool, but then you have the user, right? But the point is that, yeah, if the weapon used was a vintage 308 Mauser, it would be completely plausible to hit that shot. It'd be tough. Iron sights with a civilian with a decent amount of practice. Again, if your target was, let's say you were saying, hey, I want to hit the human head, right? Or you were to say, hey, I want to hit the torso. That is easily within the technical capability of the rifle. But here's the deeper story here. One, if it's true that this guy used a Mauser rifle, which again, despite them releasing video before and after the shooting, he doesn't appear to be actually carrying it. Doesn't mean he isn't. Doesn't mean he doesn't have it tucked somewhere. The angle is just right. It's also it is not a choice a professional would make for the reasons that we just talked about, portability, but also if you miss, bolt action rifles don't cycle that well. You would want to have the chance to take a second shot, and you already took one. The panic is happening. People are running. People are screaming. Why would you not try to give yourself an opportunity to take that second shot if you were a professional, right? There's a reason why, other than ultra long range snipers, and even ultra long range snipers do not use bolt action rifles anymore. Almost all militaries have gone over to a semi-automatic rifle of some kind because that second shot, the ability to take that second shot, is worth more than the tiny amount of power you lose by having an automatic rifle. And if you knew you were going to take a shot from inside 200 meters, you would absolutely want to give yourself that opportunity, right? The other thing, we've talked about the portability. Even the amateurish Trump assassin knew that you could disassemble a perfectly accurate AR-15 and fit it into a backpack and then fire that at your target. Now, when you look at, for example, the other thing is if they're using the Mauser, it doesn't make a lot of sense because, look, this is a list of regular commercially available hunting rifles that, again, it says average group, but think of it as MOA in inches. Average group is, you could see, literally just like regular work a day, buy it at a pawn shop. Rugers have an average grouping of less than an inch, so twice the accuracy of an old school Mauser, right? And these are considered highly affordable, easy rounds to operate, easy weapons to operate. So again, I'm suspicious that this was done. If it was done with a Mauser, that alone says that this was not a professional job, because a professional, they don't use those. And professionals train on they're going to perform with the tools they train on. Now, if you told me that this was, so that right there should tell you this. And if you're asking, is this a professional level shot? No, it's not. It's not. So now there is another scenario that is at least worth acknowledging, in which this was a professional job, right? If the goal was to conduct the most polarizing event possible, right, to maximize polarization, leaving a sort of drop weapon, particularly one with political messaging, would help the person. And they said, oh, they found the spent rifle round in there, which is also kind of a weird one, right? A weird choice, if that's true, if this is even true. And that would almost make more sense to explain how this went down, right? To be like, oh, well, there was this other rifle found that couldn't have been used in the assassination, or that wouldn't make any sense, and that the shooter actually, in fact, used a much smaller, more professional rifle. Now, it's hard to say. What I will say is this person had something that is very tactically sound, which is a clear, decisive, planned evacuation route, right? This person reportedly fled the scene, clearly had a plan to leave, clearly went directly into a nearby suburb, and egressed in a way that the government has been unable to track him. So, and again, you're talking about a military age male. So all of that, again, this is just the data. I'm just helping you guys correlate the data of what's known. And the other thing is that if your goal though was to create maximum polarization, you would usually put out a statement. If you were some kind of assassin, you would leave some kind of piece of evidence, some kind of thing that says, this was my intention. You saw it, for example, with the United Healthcare assassin, right? Who left messages about his intents on the actual bullet casings themselves, making sure to leave the bullet casings at the scene so that the message got disseminated, got out. You saw, what you didn't see this is with the Trump assassin, who again appeared to be more mentally ill man than like political assassin, if that makes sense, like political messenger. So this kind of thing, there's a lot. We're gonna keep you guys informed as we learn more. I'm not gonna do any more speculation, but I got to say, this is pretty embarrassing for the FBI. This is pretty embarrassing for the FBI. Anyway, guys, that's all I had. Thank you to our Combat Vet News Colonel tier members like AL90, James Porsche, Steve Moran, Doug Beck, William Alex, Henry Rossier, all of our Lieutenant tier members. Couldn't do it without you guys. Appreciate you all so much. See ya. Cheers.